Yo, what's poppin'? Back like we never left, B.D.A, and today we're talking about Katakuri. First off, let me preface this by saying that Katakuri is one of my favorite new characters in One Piece that's been shown on Whole Cake Island. He's just been amazing every time we've seen him in the story. There are a bunch of people that don't think too much of him because they feel like he should have been stronger than what they saw. But those are the same people that kind of overestimated his power and gave him ridiculous limits on his power, such as like a minute seeing into the future and being able to react to it. And Oda kind of made it to the point where his power is OP, but it's still manageable. So I'm not mad at that. But that's not what we're here to talk about today. We're here to talk about this retcon, or this huge change in the One Piece story. So I got this information everywhere. Got it on Twitter, got it on Discord. Shout out to B.D.A. I forgot who posted it on Twitter. According to multiple sources, in the One Piece new volume, this volume 86, Katakuri's Mochi Mochi no Mi is no longer a Logia and is actually a Paramecia. This is strange, this is perplexing, because at the end of the day, we all questioned it. When we first saw it, we all said, how is he still a Logia? Or how is he a Logia period when we saw his fruit isn't an element? For the most part, Logias seem to be elements or parts of nature in some capacity, and Paramecias were just different, and we know what zones are. But Katakuri, he kind of broke the mold, and I know a lot of people thought Trable was a Logia as well because of everything that happened, and I feel like we're having a New World version of this. I actually did not expect the manga to be wrong here and for it to be a change, because, I mean, that rarely happens, right? But in this scenario, why would this happen? How would this be a change? Was this a mistake on the manga's part? Did Oda change his mind last minute and realize, okay, this isn't going to work with me calling him a Logia. This is an opportunity for me to introduce a new type of devil fruit. And this is what I want to touch on in this video. Whereas devil fruit classes, specifically Paramecia. So while scrolling on Reddit researching Katakuri today, I actually saw on Reddit, someone actually tried to divide the Paramecia types in the devil fruit organization. And this link will be in the description box down below because I felt like this was really interesting in how they tried to class all the devil fruits, or the Paramecia devil fruits. So they had enhancers, producers, transformers, and effectors. This is similar to Hunter x Hunter and how Hunter x Hunter breaks down different classes of nen. So for enhancers, it shows as a permanent change to the physical state of the body, as well as taking on the properties of that substance to some extent. So we had Luffy, Alvida, Mr. One, Brook, Kuma, Capone, and Blamenco. Those guys, they're always in their element. They don't really change, but they take on the properties of whatever their devil fruit is, and those are the enhancers. Granted, this is not canon, this is fan-made, and this is how someone has tried to break down the Paramecia fruits, because at this point it's getting confusing, because with Katakuri being a Logia, with Katakuri being a Paramecia, it is confusing because I'm going to go over some moments where it was kind of confirmed that Katakuri should be a Logia. We'll touch on the Katakuri thing after we talk about this fully, but for producers, able to produce a substance as well as control it, body does not physically change. So Katakuri does not fall in enhancer or producer as well. Mr. 5, Nico Robin, Mr. 3, Hina, Dofi, Foxy, Bluna, Khalifa, Perona, Magellan, Whitebeard, Kinemon, Trable, Sugar, and Bartolomeo. Let's go to Dofi here, where Dofi can produce string, but he cannot turn into string. Yes, he can make a clone out of strings, but he himself, he is not string. He's a producer, which is cool as hell. I love producers. Producers seem to be a step up from the enhancers. The enhancers, they can enhance their bodies, but the thing is, when you have someone like Kuma with the reflective hands, that's kind of OP. So I don't want to say that's a higher class because we have amazing fruits. I mean, Luffy's fruit is an enhancer. So then we have transformers. They're able to change the state or properties of their body at will with a limited effect on others. Buggy, of course, splitting, Miss Valentine, Mr. 2, Mrs. Doublefinger, Bellamy, Very Good, Sharinguru, Absalom, Useless Kid, Apu, Uruj, Inazuma, Jozu, Shiki, Baby 5, Buffalo, Kelly Funk, and Mock Vice. This is weird because they can change the state or properties of their body at will, yes, but they cannot actually become it. Jozu can become Diamond, but the quality of a Logia fruit was being able to split and reconnect again. Buggy can do that. Buggy's weird to the point where how his fruit operates, it's different. It's just different because the whole Mihawk Buggy argument. Jozu's a great example here because Jozu, he lost his arm, and from what we've seen so far, he hasn't gotten it back. So that shows that once it's gone, it's gone. For Paramecias, if you're a Logia, yeah, it comes back unless hockey's being used, but for Paramecias, it's pretty much gone. Useless Kid as well. He lost his arm and he's using his fruit to kind of keep his arm attached. So that's interesting as well. Effectors is the last class they decided to categorize. These are uncommon. These people are able to alter themselves and people or environment around them. So this goes to Wapple, Shu, Boa Hancock, Ivankov, Suru, Isho, Leo, Jorah, and Gladius. So these guys, they can alter themselves and they can alter areas around them. So Gladius, he can cause things to rupture. Obviously that doesn't work on humans, or rather it doesn't work on humans. It can work on everything else except humans. And of course Fujitora, Hancock, those guys, it's weird. Paramecia is a very difficult class to kind of quantify, but I feel like this confirms that Katakuri, with him being a Paramecia, he's definitely awakened. But this also opens speculation for awakened Paramecias or mythical Paramecias, unique Paramecias, Paramecias of a higher scale. Granted, this chart kind of shows it to a point. This is fan-made, okay? It's not confirmed. And we can take the time eventually one day, like this person did, to go through and actually try to categorize the higher level fruits. This is pretty close. I'm not gonna lie. This is pretty close, and this gives a good idea of where Paramecias could be categorized as, but I feel like we can go deeper. But for Katakuri, I believe he's definitely awakened. I feel like that's his awakening where he can use the qualities of a Logia. And I feel like that's how they're going to spin it. That's where they're going to go with it. That's what I think. But with the speculation of having a higher class of Paramecia and specific Paramecias that just are on another level, what do you include here? Do you include Whitebeard's fruit? Supposedly that's the strongest Paramecia, but then you have fruits like Magellan, Doflamingo. But this goes back to the user, but you should have a higher class of Paramecia, and I believe that's what Katakuri is. Once you awaken your fruit, you do have the qualities of a Logia. Trable, it's a discussion that we've had before based on everything that happened with Law and how his body split. It always went back to the fact that he was really thin and really skinny, that he was just separated on one half and his body wasn't actually cut. But here, I'm going to show you guys a bunch of clips or a bunch of screenshots that happened in the chapter with Katakuri that basically confirmed to me and to a lot of people that Katakuri must be awakened or must be a Logia. First with Capone shooting Katakuri. With this one I was skeptical because it was not going through him. It clearly went to the back of his head and they probably bounced out. They did not show them going through Katakuri, but the others are more telling. For this one we have Jinbei blowing a hole through him, but for this one you could kind of think that maybe he's going around Jinbei's fist with the 5,000 tiles true fist. That's up in the air as well, but one was saying he went through Katakuri. With this one we see Pedro cutting Katakuri, but it doesn't show the whole slice or the whole cut. It just shows him telling Luffy not to touch it. It doesn't show the sword actually going through. The last one here is the one that's kind of definitive in my eyes. Before I move on, I want to shout out to Exhalon on Reddit. That's where I got this information. In addition to people on Discord, BAO, people on Twitter, I don't remember who on Twitter posted, but people on Twitter as well. So it was floating around, you know, the One Piece community in a major way. But finally, Ichiji. When Ichiji punched Katakuri, it looked like a clear separation. If you look at Katakuri, you see where his body begins, or where his head begins, where his body ends. Ichiji punched him, and where his body began again. This could be just an illustration thing in that maybe he's still connected, but his body, you know, it's just a blast that separated it. I'm not sure, but this was an indication to a lot of people that Katakuri was indeed a Logia. To me, that's what pretty much confirmed it for me. Hearing that he's a Paramecia, it's weird. When you think about it, it makes sense because Katakuri could be a mythical Paramecia. Because Marco right now, he's a mythical zone, but he has properties of a Logia. How Marco moves, everything he does, it seems like he's a Logia. And that's not an exact trait of all mythical zones because we saw Sengoku, he's a mythical zone as well and he doesn't have those traits. So these mythical fruits could have an underlying power. This is the awakening for them to be able to apply these Logia abilities. Not Marco, but more so Katakuri I'm talking about. Hopefully we get more information in this to kind of clarify everything because the community is kind of confused because we're just like, wait, what? How are you changing this at this point? So guys, let me know what you think. What do you think about Katakuri's power? Do you think he's an awakened Paramecia? Do you think it could be a mythical Paramecia or a unique Paramecia? Because in the panel, the kanji used when Jinbei was explaining Katakuri, he used, it was a unique Paramecia or a special Paramecia. So that's another thing that's telling where he's special, he's different. Mythical Paramecia, awakened Paramecia. We don't know at this point. Hopefully we get more information to clarify and I really can't wait. But what do you think about Katakuri being a Paramecia now? It's interesting as hell. A lot to talk about there. Leave your comments and suggestions below. Like the video if you did. Please subscribe to the channel if you have not for more content like this. That would be dope, guys. I'll catch you guys another time. Peace.